Joe, I tell you what, some weekends, we go to the movies every freaking weekend. We would regardless, but now it's our job. And some weekends, you know, it's a little bit of a, it's fucking 9 o'clock on Sunday and I got to go see Drop. I got to get my carcass off this couch and go see Drop. Some weekends it's a little bit of a you know, it's laborious. It's hard. Yeah. Then other weekends.
Yeah.
This weekend, for example, you feel like you're on the fucking top of the mountain, baby, like you won some prize. Because you are having so much fun at the movies. Everything is firing off. The movies are great. The crowds are great. The energy is great.
Amazing.
And, of course, I'm talking about David Cronenberg's Shrouds,
yeah,
which we saw in limited release this weekend. But, of course, I'm also talking about Ryan Coogler's Sinners, baby,
Bang.
which dropped like an atom bomb in movie theaters this weekend.
It did.
Bringing out crowds for an original IP that we have not seen in the COVID era. We'll talk all about that today. But first, while we're still in the cold open and we're just getting a little warmed up here, I want to talk about the experience of watching this movie in theaters because producer Carson and I had a very exciting experience watching Sinners, which is that the director Ryan Coogler showed up at our screenings.
I am so jealous of you guys. You got to be kidding me. Mr. Coogler, how dare you not show up at my screening yesterday? What the heck?
They played a little ruse because, well, I went to the very first public screening on Thursday. It was Thursday, 1 o'clock. I could not wait to see this movie, and I went to the very first screening at AMC 16 in Burbank.
It's a good move.
And they played a little trick before the movie was about to start. They'd already done the AMC promos, the Nicole Kidman promo, and someone comes on the loudspeaker and is like, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Boo. And I was like, oh, fuck you. Not for Sinners. Not for Sinners.
Not today.
Not for Sinners. Week 3 of
Red One?
Of Red One, sure,
yeah.
Yes, there can be technical problems.
Not today.
But not the first screening of Sinners. No, sir. And then they go, but while we're trying to fix that, we have a special guest for you. And then everybody goes, oh, it was a trick. There's a special guest. Who's it going to be? Ryan Coogler himself.
You're kidding.
And Omar Benson Miller, who you might not know the name, but you'll know the face. He's very good in the movie.
You've seen him
been good in a lot of stuff.
He's always good.
They both show up. They come into the movie theater, and they give this very nice little talk before the movie. Ryan says, I'm so glad you're seeing this in theaters. That's how I intended it. This is a movie for theaters. And everyone's just patting themselves on the back for being there in the theaters.
I'm here. Look at me,
yes,
Ryan. I'm
yes,
here.
I'm doing what you wanted.
I did it.
And we're all just, but in the best way, in the most celebratory, just communal way possible. We are all now just like on fire to see Sinners. Mm-hmm. And holy shit, did this movie deliver. We're going to talk all about it. Carson, though, had an even a bigger moment than I did, because not only did Ryan Coogler show up, well, Carson, we should say, went to one of the 10 theaters. I could not get tickets; it was sold out. He went to one of the 10 theaters that was showing the IMAX 70 millimeter print.
Yeah, as did I.
Yes, you did too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess I didn't try hard enough.
Wasn't going to miss that.
All right. Well, I will go. I'm going to go see it again, and I'm going to go see it in the IMAX 70 millimeter. But that's like the real one.
Yeah.
That's only in 10 theaters across the country. And Ryan Coogler showed up to his screening as well. This is on City Walk.
That's amazing.
He said City Walk's his favorite LA theater, by the way.
It's the best IMAX in the entire world, and it's the only, it's one of the 10 that actually does it for real. And then I think, like, pound for pound, I agree. It's like if you're going to just like your movie theater, nothing special, City Walk's easily the greatest AMC in the world.
Yeah.
It has the Chicken Run statues out front of it, and it has like the dress from the movie you're about to see out front of it. It's clean, it's big, and the screens are beautiful. It has a Dolby, it has an IMAX, the world's best IMAX, the one Christopher Nolan watches Oppenheimer on, like that. And you're sitting in Universal Studios, so it's sort of romantic. I love that movie theater, Brett.
I just love it because it's adjacent to a Margaritaville.
So I buried the lead.
I can get a loaded land shark, which you turned me on to before I see the movie.
Can I tell you a little bit about my movie? Well, first show what Carson got. Show what Carson got.
So Carson got he got an actual.
This is stolen valor. This is all Carson,
commemorative
not us. I'll hold the stuff.
IMAX 70 mil film strip. They handed these out. I don't know if they gave these to everybody in the theater, but Carson got one. And then they also got this T-shirt here. I'll hold this up. Yeah, Joe, hold this up. Here, I'll talk. You go.
I don't even care about merch. Look at this.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. It's got the little Irish vampire on the front there, and then it's got all the theaters showing the 70mm print on the back.
Even better, Brett. It's the 15 perf 65mm 143:1 aspect ratio movie theaters. This is the 15 perf theaters. This is the IMAXs that can scroll it across long wide.
It's the truest screening of the movie. The way the movie was intended to be screened.
How cool! It's why Ryan did the big long video on Twitter about.
It's incredible, and we're going to talk a lot today about film stock. This will be it'll be one of the themes of today's episode is film stock and why it matters. But there it is, 70mm, 15 perf IMAX.
And Brett, what's now beautiful? Now look, Carson obviously got the haul, but did Carson get? What's this? Now I'm holding a big cup.
Yeah, okay. This is like wearing the band T-shirt to the concert, which I actually recommend if you really like the band. I recommend doing it like 5 times in your life. Okay. Don't do it for every band, but when you really like. When I went and saw Pulp this year, I wore a fucking Pulp shirt, dude, because that's like a once in a lifetime opportunity for me.
I love the Dodgers game, throwing a fucking Dodgers hat. It's not that big a deal.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not that big a deal.
But
it's not that big a deal.
Along with everybody else in the stadium,
it's not that big a deal.
All right, so for Sinners, I got there like 30 minutes early. I'm in line for snacks, and I see they got these commemorative cups at AMC. These are gorgeous commemorative cups here. With Michael B. Jordan looking amazing.
Let me see this thing.
And so I said, you know what? Give me one of those. Give me one of those. Oh, yeah, it does have water in it. Sorry.
I just dumped it all over myself.
Give me one of those $9, actually not too expensive for a movie theater. Give me one of those $9 commemorative cups. And then I walked into Sinners with my Sinners cup on. Just the ultimate fanboy. Look.
And everyone knows you hadn't seen it. It was the first screening in the country.
So I'm really just like guessing that I'm going to like this movie. Yeah. But it was a good guess.
It's a can't lose cup, even if the movie sucked.
That's it.
Look at that cup.
I know.
Well, I felt, in my movie theater Sunday night, it was literally Easter. And I felt like the priest that was like, oh, now everybody shows up. Once a year you guys do it. I'm here every week putting in the work. Thanks for showing up to church, baby.
So all the Easter and Christmas Christians were there.
I gave everybody side eye. Oh, wow, you're really into the movies. That was me. Oh, look at you guys. You guys are having fun at the movies? I'm having fun at the movies every week. No, but movies, you know what I realized? Like, I love going to the movies. It always makes it better. But, like, we always forget the second piece, which is, like, it's even better when there's like the movie theater's full of other people.
Oh, it's so yeah.
It's like it's good on a screen loud, and I love going, and I love when there's 6 weirdos with me. But it's way better when
energy was so
the energy
good.
is
the energy was
pumping.
So good.
It really reminded me of like this plus Minecraft. I'm like 2 weekends in a row. I felt like the movies were a thing everybody was doing and talking about. It was like an actual cultural moment.
And that's going to be one of the themes of today's show is the movies are back. It's so funny how we just do this over and over and over
next
and
week,
over and
next
over
week,
and over again.
We will be talking about their demise.
Dead, and then the movies are back, and then they're dead again, and then they're back. But that's the fun of movies, baby. That's the fun of tracking the rise and fall of the industry is, I hate the fall. I hate when you hear you see these snarky think pieces about the movies are dead, and then I love when the surprise hit surfaces and changes the narrative because it just keeps happening over and over again throughout movie history. It only takes one. In this case, 2. I mean, a Minecraft movie plus Sinners, and now everyone's saying the movies are back, the movies are back, the movies are back. And in the case of Sinners, I think they definitely are because this was a hell of a theatrical experience, one of my favorite theatrical experiences post-COVID. And we're going to talk all about that. We're also going to talk about in the second half of the show for Patreon subscribers only, David Cronenberg's The Shrouds, and we're doing top 5 Cronenberg. We got a lot of fun stuff coming your way this show. I can't wait to get started. Should we kick it off?
I can't wait.
Let's do it, Carson. Hit that fanfare, baby.
Welcome to Movies, Baby, the weekly show where we break down the hottest movie news, review the latest releases, Sinners, Forgot Out, Shout Out, Forgotten Classics, and prophesy the future of Hollywood. My name is Joe Cilio, a.k.a. the Philly Movie Freak, here as always with my partner in crime, Brett Boehm, a.k.a. the Georgia Movie Dog.
Go Dogs! We're coming to you live from the San Fernando Valley, baby, and we've got your full rundown on Sinners Weekend, from the box office to the impact on the industry to the movie itself. Plus, we're going to look at the first 90 days of Hollywood under the second Trump administration. What's going on? Where's the money flowing? Why is it flowing? Who to? What for? We're going to get into all of that. And then in the second half of the show, for Patreon subscribers only, we're talking David Cronenberg, baby, one of our favorite directors. He's got a new movie out, The Shrouds, in limited release, which we saw. We're going to review that. We're also going to figure out our top 5 Cronenbergs. And as always, we got to come up with one list.
Don't miss it.
one list. You're not going to want to miss that.
We're passionate about Cronenberg.
We love Cronenberg.
And we're going to be extra on the Patreon, so come on out.
Yes, and that's patreon.com/moviesbaby with 5 Ys. This will be the first half of the show here, free for everyone, and then there'll be a Patreon second half only for Patreon members where we're going to go deep into the master of body horror and technology and all that sexy shit that he gets into. Wires and goo and wires and body parts. We're going to talk Cronenberg in the second half. You're not going to want to miss that. But first, this week on Movies Baby, thank God we do not have to talk about a Minecraft movie for a third straight week. I mean, we'll talk about it for a second. But the big topic this week is Ryan Coogler's Sinners. It was the big winner, both financially and critically this weekend at movie theaters. We've got the full rundown on Sinners weekend and our review of the movie. But as always, let's start with the numbers. Carson, show me the money. And by money, I'm talking weekend box office returns. Holy shit. Look at that.
Bang.
Bang, bang, bang. Sinners, Minecraft, King of Kings. Bang, bang, bang.
Bang.
So Sinners made 45.6 domestic, and it also added another 15 or so internationally for a total of 61 million worldwide. A 61 million worldwide opening for an actual original piece of IP. That is the biggest opening for original IP post-COVID and the biggest that we've seen since Jordan Peele's Us in 2019. This is a huge moment for movies and the future of movies and for Warner Brothers and for a lot of things. Sinners also earned a cinema score, which marks the first time in 39 years that a horror film has earned a grade that high from the audience poll, which can often portend sort of word of mouth, which can portend staying power. You know, is this movie going to continue to make money in week 2, week 3, week 4? So considering how well it started out, plus its very strong reviews, it's crushing on Rotten Tomatoes, it's crushing in the cinema score, it's crushing in word of mouth, and it has viral potential as well. I predict a nice little staying power for Sinners. What do you think, Joe? Is this going to be? Is this going to continue, or has it peaked already in week 1?
No, it's absolutely going to continue. They did a great job marketing this, putting it out there, making it a meme, making it viral with their strategy, and they got a lot of people to be personally invested. I know a lot of black film goers that want this to succeed passionately because Ryan Coogler, obviously one of the great black filmmakers in America, and there's a lot of buy-in there. And then I think generally the larger movie-going audience loves Ryan Coogler and wants him to succeed and wants original IP to succeed. So I think that the Warner Brothers and Coogler did a great job making people feel connected and personally connected to this project, championing it. And I think that people latched onto that. It made a huge opening weekend, and I see no reason why the movie would all of a sudden putter out and stop being a good bet. This movie's got so long to go. I know it was made for $90 million, where like Nope was only $65 million. So people, want to razz Sinners for that. But like, razz what? It looks like a $90 million movie, and that's why people wanted to come out and see it. They eventized the size of the film, and people are going to want to see it on the big screen. And then when this comes out one day on TV and in the DVDs and on streaming, it's going to make a shit ton of money there. This movie is going to be around for a long time, Brett. We're going to be talking about it when Oscar season comes rolling around. This movie's got a long way to go financially, and this is a big yes for Warner Brothers and for Coogler.
Absolutely. It feels really like a new classic. It feels like it just has that immediate cultural impact, box office success, the quality of the film. It really feels like we've got a new classic on our hands here. And just to put some numbers behind some of the points you were making, nearly 40% of ticket buyers this weekend were black, so black filmgoers came out in huge numbers to see this movie. People also wanted to see this movie on the biggest screen possible. Yep. Premium large formats like Dolby and 4DX accounted for 45% of ticket sales. IMAX alone represented 20% of revenues for this movie.
Good for Coogler and good for Warner Brothers for doubling down on the magic of the movies to sell this thing. I love how Coogler was like, I'm going to make a big movie and you are going to love my movie. I'm going to tell you about film strips. I'm going to tell you about Dolby. I'm going to tell you about the big screen. I'm going to tell you about Community. And he's sort of like, they all sort of were like, what if the big thing about Sinners was it was a movie?
Yes.
Which was a great idea.
Yeah.
Ryan loves movies. We're Warner Brothers. We too love movies. Let's make this all about movies and the community. It was just so well run, so well put together. And movies like this can come and go. I mean, I know Coogler directed Black Panther and directed Creed, and they weren't going to just let this go, but lots of famous people make movies every weekend. We see them. They come and they go. They did a great job making sure people knew this was an event to be seen on the big screen. It had cultural import, and then it was fucking fire.
That's right. That's right. And before we get into the movie itself, let's look at a few more aspects of this movie's impact on the industry, its impact on the future, the immediate future of movies. Now, of course, we have to talk about Warner Brothers because this movie was part of their auteur strategy for 2025, which we've been tracking. It got off to a bit of a slow start with Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17, which didn't make a whole lot of money or make a huge sort of dent at the box office. And then you start hearing the whispers. Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy at Warner Brothers, the head of the film division there, who are in charge of this whole strategy. They're on the way out. David Zaslav's already looking for their replacements. And then lo and behold, they get a surprise smash hit with a Minecraft movie, and then a couple weeks later, they get another hit with one of their auteur movies, Ryan Coogler's Sinners. And so they came out, and here was Mike and Pam's little
fuck you.
They are it's so
What'd they say?
I love this because they're just playing it very humble. They're playing it very safe, but they are like laughing right now.
On the grave.
As we continue to strive to bring an array of films to moviegoers, we are thrilled to see how Ryan Coogler's original movies Sinners and Minecraft have resonated with audiences in such a stellar way, said DeLuca and Abdy. Movies have the power to transport us to worlds only seen on the big screen, and Warner Brothers Pictures remains committed to bringing singular in-theater experiences to audiences looking for bold movies, both original and those based on beloved existing properties. So look,
fuck you.
Regardless of what you think of Zaslav, of Warner Brothers, this year, we all need Warner Brothers to succeed. If you love the movies, and look, I'm not asking you to root for a corporation, I'm asking you to root for movies, and Warner Brothers this year have aligned themselves with things that we all love about the movies. Big theatrical experiences, auteur-driven movies, giving a lot of money to big directors. You know, the next one up now is Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, coming later this year in September. Well, you know, they gave him $150 to $200 million for that thing. Did you see the trailer before Sinners? Was I right?
Yes.
That thing fucking blows up in a movie theater.
Everybody in the theater loved it.
Everybody leans forward and goes, "What is this?
Everybody's like, "What is this?" Shit. And everyone was like dying, and everyone clapped afterwards.
Oh, fuck yes.
Everyone clapped.
I knew it. I'm telling you.
My sold-out IMAX theater of Sinners clapped.
So the next one
One
up,
Battle After Another.
We did it for Sinners. We got to do it again for One Battle After Another.
They didn't
people.
like Accountant too.
Really?
That's
not the audience.
A smattering around me going, I don't like him. And then the guy behind me goes, I think we're going to pass on that one.
Yeah, that's a red state movie. It's going to crush in the red states. It's going to crush in the red states.
Absolutely. And we're going to love. Just now, because we love those.
Not only was Sinners good for Warner Brothers, it was good for the entire industry, because after this weekend, box office revenues are now 5% ahead of last year at this same time. I cannot believe we're saying that, because several weeks ago, before a Minecraft movie came out, I mean, we were looking bad. It was already, I think it was 11, before Minecraft movie came out, it was 11% behind last year. And now, just thanks to 2 movies and King of Kings, 3 movies, it is now 5% ahead of last year at this same time. So just like that, you gotta love the ups and downs of the movie industry, the way it just seems like we're plummeting to the bottom of the earth. And then, much like in Sinners, the show must go on, baby. You find a way to open the juke joint. You find a way to keep entertainment alive.
Yeah. This happened last year. After Furiosa, we were all like, movies are done. And then like whatever came out next week, and we were like, never mind. It was Deadpool and Wolverine or something. We were like, yay, we're back. This happens every year.
Every year.
Good news, we're back.
Now, I also want to shout out a Minecraft movie. It has now surpassed 720 million worldwide. It has its sights on being the first U.S. billion-dollar movie of the year. What do you think? Does Minecraft movie make it to $1 billion?
Easy.
Yeah.
Stop. Don't fucking ask me a question you know the answer to.
So it looks like Minecraft movie is going to make over $1 billion. Holy shit. Get ready for more Minecraft movies, but get ready for more movies like Sinners as well. Yeah. And before we move on to the review of the movie, last thing I wanted to talk about sort of in terms of industry impact is I see this interesting pipeline developing, Joe, and I want to know if you think there's any credence to this. We all know about the sort of indie directors going into comic book movies pipeline, right? The best way to get hired to direct a Marvel movie is you make a nice little indie, you come in on budget, you get a nice little box office, or you just get some critical, sort of success off it. That's how Ryan Coogler got Black Panther, was off of Fruitvale Station, right? And so we all know about that side of the pipeline, indie directors going into comic book movies. And I think the fear among a lot of us is that they then get lost in the world of comic book movies and never come out the other side again. But we now have two very prominent counterexamples for that. The most famous one, of course, is Christopher Nolan. He, after making, several successful movies kind of at a smaller scale.
Go
right?
On. Yeah.
Then he makes, I mean, you forget it now.
It almost doesn't count.
Because you forget
he invented
how successful he was. Yeah. Because he's inventing the new era of comic book movie. I mean, also Sam Raimi with Spider-Man and, and Blade and some other things. But he really is sort of, inventing the comic book movie genre that we think of
inventing
now.
The comic book franchise
genre, yes. But then he does that incredibly successfully with Batman, and then after that is able to basically, decide his own future, make his own movies after that. And I see something very similar happening now with Ryan Coogler, where he, after Fruitvale Station, comes into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, makes 2 Black Panther movies, also obviously working in the Rocky franchise with the Creed movies, where he is learning. I mean, kind of, really sort of going back to film school in a way because nobody goes to film school to make billion-dollar movies, right? Yeah. Nobody knows how to do that until you do it. And so he then comes out the other side knowing about these, shooting on in wide format and IMAX cameras, making movies for big audiences, for broad appeal,
dealing with the studio universe,
exactly,
finding your creative, artistic outlets, under incredible pressures. Like Black Panther, in retrospect, with all of the fumbles over at Marvel, is like even more of a miracle how that thing survived and has artistic credit and is a great movie and like transcends the monolithic studio system. So, but you do have to learn that, and he learned it. He did it with 2 franchises. Creed is not just like some Rocky spinoff. It is an excellent big budget remake. Excellent.
So maintaining your, if any directors can maintain their kind of artistic integrity while also learning the industry.
It's not just about calling the shot. It's about like interacting with everybody on set and on studio and on the lot and the money. It's not just like picking fancy shots. Like he really proved that he can really handle the money. And that's one of the reasons that DeLuca unloaded the clip. He saw talent and he saw a guy that is smart enough and knows enough about the industry now and has enough connections. His wife, too, is a producer. I mentioned that because that's Nolan-esque as well. And, like, they're just, like, teaming up and they're just taking over Hollywood, man. And DeLuca, it's kind of now it's such a hindsight, it's 2020, but, like, who else are you going to pick to do your $90 million big budget summer hit? Like, obviously Coogler. Yeah. Like, who else are you going to ask? Like, the guy's made so much money. Everyone loves his movies, and this idea was fucking good. This is the easiest green light in the world. Are you going to talk about the deal structure in this? I don't want to jump ahead.
You can talk about. I would love to hear you talk about the deal structure. I wanted to throw out one final point on this sort of pipeline. No, you're good. Is that I think there is now, because like a lot of kind of old school movie lovers, I've been skeptical, disillusioned about the explosion of comic book movies and franchise movies. But when you really look at kind of like the money, the studio system moving forward, I wonder if there is a more symbiotic relationship that can be developed in which, indie filmmakers going into the comic book world and then coming out the other side and making movies like Sinners, like Tenet, like Oppenheimer. I'm kind of more curious about not looking at these things as at odds with each other, as comic book franchises and auteur movies as at odds, but as maybe having more of a symbiotic relationship where, because I don't, they don't. It's now a no-duh green light, but they're not giving Coogler $90 million to make Sinners after Fruitvale Station. They're giving it to him after Black Panther and Creed, right? And so
I see what you're saying.
I think there could be this might be a path forward where we get the best of both worlds, where franchise movies continue to exist to make the money. Of course, they're always going to be there, but then they can sort of, these directors can come out the other side with the experience of working within the industry and make movies like Sinners, like Nolan's movies, etc. I'm excited for the future of movies after seeing what Coogler was able to do, and it really depends on there being, Christopher Nolan's, Ryan Coogler's, etc. But there's a lot of them out there.
Generational talent. You don't have to be, but like these guys are the best in class.
Yeah.
Just because not every director, you didn't say this, not every director that makes a Marvel movie is going to come out the other side and make a Sinners.
No, the Russos, the Russos are not going to make Sinners.
You're saying like there's a world where this like. What if the pipeline was beautiful?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Like the way in David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future is how they start eating plastic because it's the best way it is to like deal with industrial waste. Is what if we actually could like live off it? What if it could be our food?
We'll talk about Crimes of the Future on the Patreon.
Yes, that'll be on the Patreon. More of that.
But
tell me about this deal structure.
Well, Coogler retained everything. Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy are the chair people of Warner Brothers movies, right? They're in charge of the studio. They pick and greenlight the movies. They spend the money, and they put the movies out into the market. They are the ones that did this auteur strategy that we've spoken about, greenlighting a slate of expensive movies by wonderful auteurs. But they didn't do this because they had too much to drink. This is what they do. Yeah. Michael DeLuca's entire career is giving auteurs freedom to be creative and give them the money to make their visions come to life. He's done this time and time again.
He's one of the best studio producers out there. Go check his resume.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Boogie Nights, Social Network, these things up and down. Like, he's made a lot of bad movies too. Whatever. Who cares? He's a producer, but he's been the person.
Crash.
To push,
Cronenberg's Crash at Fine Line. Yeah.
Dude, he's pushed through all of these movies, whether they were at New Line, whether they were at, where else did he work? Warner Brothers. He worked at MGM. He ran for a while.
He's been all over the place.
He's made movies that you love and think are iconoclastic and exciting. And how did they get this made? Michael DeLuca's behind a lot of those. Last week, Brett suggested that in Burbank, they take down the Batman statue and put up a statue of Michael DeLuca.
I was high on
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And look, if you like Sinners like I do, you probably are saying, well, they should do a Ryan Coogler statue, this or that. Michael DeLuca statue, baby.
Ryan Coogler will get his statue, but he's got a lot more movies to make. DeLuca gets the statue today.
Here's the thing I like about Michael DeLuca is that the industry throughout his whole career, the industry has constantly, and he's been fired from a lot of places, the industry is constantly trying to teach him a lesson. They're constantly trying to teach Michael DeLuca the lesson that the money is more important than art, that commerce over art. And Michael DeLuca has consistently stood on his principles and say, no, they can both exist. I'm going to pursue both.
In fact, yes. You know what's really going to put butts in seats? Something original and exciting.
Yep.
And good from a craftsman.
Yep.
Like Sinners.
Now,
bet, Michael.
Now, speaking of, you want to get into this movie? Let's review this movie.
Let's
do it. Sinners was written, co-produced, and directed by Ryan Coogler. It's set in 1932 in the Mississippi Delta. I believe it was shot in Louisiana, but set in the Mississippi Delta. The film stars Michael B. Jordan in a dual role. We've got a lot of dual roles from Warner Brothers. De Niro and Alter Knights. Michael B. Jordan in Sinners.
There's another one.
There's one more. Oh, Mickey 17. Robert Pattinson.
Oh my God, you're right. They're all doubles. You're right.
They are going back home. Michael B. Jordan as these twin brothers are going back home. They were like gangsters in Chicago, sort of in Capone era Chicago, and then they're coming back home to open up a juke joint, but they get confronted by a supernatural evil. The film also features Haley Steinfeld, Miles Caton, Jack O'Connell, and then a bunch of other great people. Buddy Guy has a cameo at the very end. Oh, Delroy Lindo in like what? He's not going to get nominated, but if he got nominated for best supporting actor, I would say great. Good eye. Why wouldn't he? Good eye. I don't know.
I think this movie will be nominated for best picture.
Movie, small role.
This is Dune 2, and Delroy Lindo will get.
I love that confidence because I think he's already a lock based on his performance. He was fantastic in this. Now it was shot by Autumn Durald Arkapaw. This is very exciting. Did you know that she is the first woman to DP an IMAX movie?
No.
Incredible. The cinematographer Autumn Durald Arkapaw, the first female DP to shoot in IMAX. She had previously worked with Coogler on Wakanda Forever, the second Black Panther movie, and she shot this on 65mm film using a combination of two 70mm cameras, the IMAX 15 Perf camera, and then this Ultra Panavision 70mm camera, and they refer to it as 65mm on steroids, and it really does feel like, and I guess we can kind of start here, is that Coogler is using, he's not just, he's doing it because it's big and bold and it's exciting. He's also using the different aspect ratios of these two cameras to contribute to the storytelling. So the movie is constantly kind of expanding on the screen, switching between aspect ratios at key dramatic moments. I mean, there's a fight scene near the end where the screen literally, like the image just expands on the screen as the fight scene is happening, and everyone in the movie theater is just going, oh, and just leaning forward. And that's just fucking aspect ratio ratio. He's using the cameras to tell the story in this really dynamic, exciting way. I mean, this is the ultimate see it in a theater movie for that reason. I think I would honestly probably give it a slightly lower rating if I watch this on my laptop, because I'm not watching it the right way. This is a movie to be seen in theatrical release, not just as a plea to like, please go see in the theaters. You have to see in theaters because the theater is part of the experience. The theater is part of the storytelling. Coogler also worked, the sound and the music is such a big part of this movie, and Coogler worked with frequent collaborator Ludwig Göransson on the soundtrack. There were also tons of great blues and R&B musicians who were used for the vocals, Raphael Saadiq, Brittany Howard, among others. All right, I'm going to stop with the business, Joe. What'd you think of this freaking movie? What'd you think of Sinners?
I love Sinners. Sinners was really fun. As advertised, big budget, original movie that felt great on the big screen, looked great. Here's just a couple things I loved about it. Number one, I loved the acting. Michael B. Jordan, movie star. I thought he was pretty cool and pretty great as the two brothers. A, he is a good-looking man, so there's that. B, he gets to wear old clothes, so he looks cool as shit. But then 3, I thought he did a great job making the performances different. I never was confused. Not that this, of course this is true, but I never got confused for 1 second who was who. He makes it super duper clear, and he makes them both feel like original characters that have their own thing going on. So I love that from you, Michael.
One is like the businessman, one's the badass guy.
Well, yeah,
that's
right.
Sort of loosely the dynamic between the two brothers. He did a great job of just distinguishing
Michael B.
those
Jordan's
performances.
Obviously a movie star, but it's nice to see him do some new characters. Both of the two characters he plays felt new and fresh to me, and I loved the work that he did. But he wasn't my favorite actor even. There was other great actors too. I thought the supporting cast was like unbelievably good. Number one I want to shout out is the sort of main character, is the cousin of Michael B. Jordan's two characters, that is a preacher's son that gets taken to the juke joint to play music, and he's so good at music that he can open up the world to the present and the past, and can connect to the spirits of in his present and his future.
This is Miles Caton, the actor's name. Miles Caton. He's fantastic.
Because Miles Caton isn't just doing a great job acting, which he is. He's also doing a great job singing and playing that guitar. Oh my God. The whole point of Sinners is this guy's so good at singing and playing the guitar that hell opens up and needs him to come down and be the devil or whatever. So they did a good job casting him, because this guy was so good. I believe that the devil would come.
He was excellent.
I believe that the spirits of before and after would all dance around with him, because like this guy's music is so classic. He sounded just so classic Mississippi Delta blues, like originator sort of timbre to his voice, and the way, like the smoothness and the excitement. And man, oh man, that just bleeds into the dance scenes. The dance scenes and the stomping and the like and all of the movement and all of the sound is very, very exciting in this movie. And it starts with the music. And then Göransson builds on top of it this beautiful, amazing sound design that really amps it up. And one thing I really liked about the score was that Göransson didn't first thought it. So the whole entire thing wasn't like tribute to Mississippi blues, Mississippi Delta. That's a ton of it. It's all over it. But there's like a pulsing, sort of like electronic, sort of like Yeezus-esque, Tenet-esque, which is also him, esque, sort of like his like Christopher Nolan boom, 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 undergirding thing on top of all that blues music and all of the excitement and energy, and it creates a very powerful soundscape.
And specifically,
that is very cool.
There's like this thrash metal sort of like underpinning to a lot of it. So it's this incredible mixing of like blues, like thrash metal, like horror drones. There's like so much going on in the scoring. And I read that the thrash metal thing was not, I was like, am I hearing that right? And like, because you could hear it sort of at certain moments it would come in. And I read that Ryan Coogler, he comes from the Bay Area. He's always kind of repping the Bay Area. And Bay Area, of course, is like great for hip hop. It's also great for thrash metal, arguably the birth of thrash metal. That's where Metallica comes from. And Ryan Coogler said he was like inspired by Metallica's music while he was writing this movie. I was like, I fucking knew I heard that in there. And so you have like blues, thrash metal, like Joe's saying, like drones, horror, like little tonalities. It is just like maybe one of the best scored sound design movies I've ever heard. It's just so incredible sonically. And then the one scene you were referring to, I want to dig into a little bit more. It's really like one of the big set pieces is that that dance scene where the young blues musician is like playing live for the first time at the juke joint, and it just takes over the whole room. And then there's this incredible oneer, which is insane because an IMAX camera weighs like 65 pounds, but apparently they put it on a Steadicam. I don't know if they had fucking the Incredible Hulk carrying that thing around.
Was it a one shot?
They said it's a oneer. I'd have to see it again and like track it, but
tell me how. I'm not saying
because. It is. I mean, I think there was stuff that was probably like CGI'd. Obviously, like when the roof is burning down,
of course.
Sure. But like, I believe it is a one shot because so what they're doing is he's playing this song, and then the camera's like moving through the crowd as they're dancing, and the camera's like moving with everyone's undulations, and it's just so rhythmically perfect. And then you start to see these anachronistic characters pop up, people from future eras of time, and so you have like other sort of cultural eras of the 20th century people popping into this scene. But it is like, man, I was like, what a great case. I'm gonna remember this for things that like on paper sound a little corny, and then when you're seeing them live are like, fuck, he pulled that off.
Well, it started a little corny.
Yeah.
To be just totally honest, I'm not trying to be a hero or cool, I'm just being honest. It starts out a little like, I hope for there's 1 second when you're like whoa, for 1 second it's jarring because he has like a future guy and a past guy, and you're like, is this, because you haven't seen the movie or the shot yet, so you're like, is this gonna suck? And then by the end of the shot, you're
That's
like,
exactly
that
what I mean.
ruled.
That's exactly what I mean.
That was a great idea.
There's a slight when you're like, oh, we're getting like future,
because you got to take risks.
In here.
Like you got to risk being cheesy, or you got to risk like it sucking essentially to do something new. Yes. And he risked something sucking, and guess what? This shot didn't suck at all. This shot made the movie.
Rocks so hard.
This shot rocks.
I agree with you entirely. What I mean? Yeah. There was an initial like, ooh, maybe our first false move here.
Wait, is this going to suck?
And then it's like,
no, never mind.
And the way he pulls it off is
is
like craftsmanship, like the way the camera is moving and the way that like he's incorporating this insane fucking like even like every aspect of the film is so perfectly everything is collaborating perfectly with the way the camera's moving, the way the performances are, the way the music is, the way the costuming is, and then the way the CGI is done with that like roof burning down as he's playing, but it's not really burning down, but it's like cool. It's just like you're suddenly in Ryan Coogler's imagination and you're in this surreal version of reality, and baby, what a fucking ride. It's just overall it works because it's fucking cool and it looks great.
And it's committed to 150%. It looks beautifully. And then it's just kind of to be a little corny about it, it's like just like a beautiful idea that is resonant and nice, essentially. Like the Mississippi Blues was the past of black music and the future of black music / music, and like it's all together in one moment tonight here at the juke joint. It's kind of a beautiful idea.
And I was even reading about how, and speaking of that, there is some real thought put behind it, because I was reading about how the sound coordinator, the Ludwig, he sort of found commonalities between the blues and like thrash metal and these other eras of music, and so he's not like, it's not just, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we mashed all these together? No. He's like, the reason it sounds so seamless is because he's finding these commonalities between these eras of music and he's weaving them together, and so the score is like could have been discordant in somebody else's hands, and he makes it so fucking seamless. Could have been discordant.
It also could have been cloying and suck-uppy for a white guy to do this.
Yes,
and like make it all suck-uppy, and but no, it was actually really nuanced and brilliant. And those two guys, Coogler and Gordon, they've been friends since college. They were roommates.
Yes,
like they're like, they are thick as thieves. They got each other's back throughout all these films, and I love the work they did together. But Coogler is a brave guy. He really is. The guy's got fucking balls. He's really got chutzpah.
Because everybody, I was telling you this, everybody in town has a script like this. Every screenwriter, every director has like their script where it's just like, all my coolest ideas. Like, what if I wrote a movie that just rocked, right? Do you know how fucking hard it is to get that movie a $90 million budget and get it on IMAX screens?
No, you got to make Black Panther and Creed first.
Yes. It is so fucking hard, and this guy did it.
He's got chutzpah for days, man. And this scene is what kind of the thing I'm talking about. This scene that is a risk.
Yeah. Big risk.
Like it's a big budget movie that has to hit, and he has this weird surrealist sweet scene. Also, it's like important to the movie. Like it's like, oh yeah, the devil, like the devil the music is a through line, and it can always open up a portal because it's just so good. And then the music had to be so good so that it made sense that all of a sudden the devil and vampires appeared to like come and eat them or whatever.
Because there's a brief little intro at the very beginning of the movie that tells you like it's sort of like a folkloric intro that's like, you know, the music is so good, but when it got too good, that's when it opened up portals to like the dark demonic.
It was so cool.
And
then it was like, and sometimes it's bad, but sometimes it's good. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I don't know when it's good, but it was bad, but it was awesome. I got it. Oh, sorry. Brett.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I have to shout out this cast.
Shout them out. I just got one last thing I want to say. So you shout out the cast.
Wunmi Masaku,
yes,
my favorite performance of hers.
Yes.
She's always an imposing presence on screen or on television, and I always like her very much. She's obviously talented, but I don't know, she's just sort of, I don't know, playing like someone concerned or like a mom. This movie, she gets to play like a very real person with a very real relationship with Michael B. Jordan, and then she also has this sort of like mystic spiritual elements, not in like a voodoo annoying way, in like a very like lovely, special, sacred, exciting way, and she holds it down. She gives it gravity, and she makes it like just a beautiful. And she's kind of like the heart of the movie for me. Like, I don't know why. There was she just, whatever she was doing, I was like, this person is very important and seems to be. I don't know why I was.
She
so
felt like
drawn
a connective thread in the movie, like that connected a lot of the themes together. But that was also a character with a lot of agency on their own.
It's a good character.
That initial like sex scene with Michael B. Jordan is amazing.
It's fucking
like,
awesome.
Yeah, also the movie is fucking horny and hot as hell.
Yeah.
Like, man,
which is good.
I love that our big $90 million Save the Movies movie has so much fucking in it, and just, it rules.
It was so hot.
Rules.
It was
really
hot.
was.
So like speaking of the other, so then this woman was incredible, and then the other lead actress was Haley Steinfeld.
She was
from Bumblebee and True Grit, and she's married to Josh Allen.
Reverse from True Grit and Bumblebee. Why did Bumblebee come first?
Because I was trying to be funny.
All right, sorry.
Okay, let's all be honest. She fucking murdered the movie.
Yeah.
She was this close to stealing it. How dare you?
Yeah.
Because you're white.
Yeah.
But she didn't steal it. But she was awesome.
Yep.
And I know you're a little black, but like that's what the whole movie's about. Is like she's white presenting, but her family is black.
Right.
That's why she's allowed to come. That's why she's in the party or whatever. That's why she's like part of all this movie.
Yeah.
First of all, interesting choice. Character-wise, second of all, very thematically resonant and important for what happens in the film, and then third of all, she just fucking murders and is like okay. Here's what I was thinking: they all like walk to the juke joint, like from whatever farm they're on, from like
little town.
It's like she walked in that and got there and looked like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There had to have been some sort of like hair and makeup tent next to the juke joint because everybody walked to the juke joint and looked like that.
I know.
That's my one note. Haley looked too good for the movie. How did she walk here and look like that? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, see, that's just like part of the suspension of disbelief for any movie set in the South. Because having grown up in the South,
hot, right?
It is not just hot. It is humid as you've ever felt in your life. Everybody, any movie that's set in the South during like spring, summer, early fall, people should just be like drenched in sweat. But we can't do that, so we all just agree not to do that unless it's like part of the movie.
Everyone's like walking up in like heels and little numbers, and I was just like, I don't know. I mean, like, look,
it's the magic of movies.
Y'all
baby.
are strong. Look, I'm not saying. I'm just saying everyone looked amazing, and it must have been hard to walk there. That's all I was saying. I'm not saying it couldn't have happened. I'm just saying that.
Last thing I want to say about this movie that I really love is I love how many what it surprised me with, because I knew we were going to get to vampires. I kind of thought the whole thing was just like a straight up vampire movie, but I loved how many genres he plays with before the vampires even make their entrance, because we get, holy shit, Joe, two of my favorite genres. When I figured out this was like a one-day movie, when this was just like a day in the life 24-hour movie, I was like, here we fucking go. Smart. Because that was one of my sort of like soft red flags coming into this, was like, there might just be sort of, based on the trailer alone, there might just be like a little too much material here to get through in a movie. It might be a little, it's
biting off more than he
what
can chew,
happens with a lot of passion projects. But no. Ryan Coogler, savvy as always, he sets that time frame. This is all happening within one day. We are getting this juke joint together tonight. It's all going down in 24 hours. That made me sit up on my seat because I said smart choice. That'll give you a nice little constraint to work within and keep everything tight and moving, and give you that ticking clock that really makes a movie like this hum. And then I also found out that we're getting a the show must go on movie, putting on a show movie are one of our favorite genres.
I love show must
because
go
the
on.
brothers have to put this juke joint on tonight, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's too soon." They're like, "No, it's got to be tonight." And so they got to drive around town. They're bargaining. All of like the bargaining scenes.
There was a part of me that was like, "Is this going to be too much like work? I'm not going to be able to enjoy it." But it wasn't too much
it's like the
work.
best day at work where you're just like driving around the Mississippi Delta, bartering over like food and the session musicians you have to pay for. I love, dude, the bargaining scenes. I don't know if I'm alone, but like
no.
I almost like them as much as the vampire
to
stuff.
Come?
Yes.
So much so.
It's the best. I loved the bargaining. I loved all the mob undertones, like that they like these two guys like fuck with their truck and they just immediately get shot by Michael B. Jordan.
That was great.
Yeah, that was great.
I like that like Red Michael B.
stuff.
Jordan went around town and he was like doing like, you know, old school gangster, like, come on, man, and teaching people how to be wheelers and dealers.
Yes.
And then Blue Michael Jordan, he just went to go with you know, his girlfriend, who I just spoke, you know, highly about.
Yes.
And just have like a long, passionate sex scene with her.
Yes.
That was very like spiritual and
like,
lovely.
Visit his son's grave and like very serious stuff. Yeah.
I was into the first half as much as the second half.
I loved how good it was before you even got to the vampires.
I was worried that
was
I was worried. I was like,
crucial part of the
are we going to get to
movie.
the vampires? And it's going to be one of those things where I was like, we were doing fine with the characters, but no. It was
even
all
better
worked.
when
It
the
all
vampires
worked.
came
Yeah.
in. It all worked. It all worked.
Also, the vampires, shout out, they were funny and good. And their little,
thank you.
Their
Yes.
little songs
Yes.
were funny and good. And then I haven't said my favorite actor yet. You already said it was Delroy Lindo.
Delroy Lindo crushes in
He's
this movie.
always the best.
Yeah.
He's always the best. But in this movie, he just proves again he's the best. And guess what? In my theater last night, he was every line a laugh, murdering, everybody clapping, happy to see him. Everyone knows who that is, whether you know his name or not. Amazing actor, fucking gem of American screen. We're lucky to have him. My God, we're lucky to have him.
And shout out to Jack O'Connell, the lead vampire, who's just this like
he's funny,
nasty little Irish vampire, and he sings these Irish songs. And man, there's that one shot where like you haven't seen any vampire shit yet, and then maybe it's Haley Steinfeld's like walking away from them, and then he just like floats up, like jumps.
That was cool.
But it like levitates, and then it just cuts,
and then
you're like,
when she
the
comes
vampire
to the door,
shit's coming, it's coming.
And she's like, will you invite me in?
Yes.
And then he's like, I don't know.
God,
that was so good.
Oh my God. And I will say, last thing. I
like the movie a lot.
Huge shout out for going back to basics with vampires. This vampire movie is all about garlic and stakes through the heart, and you gotta invite them in. It's just going back to fucking basics.
I know.
It really felt like, to me, I know From Dusk Till Dawn was a big, influence here, obviously with vampires and like a bar thing. I saw a lot of shades too of like Lost Boys, Near Dark, 80s vampire movies with the combination of like music and sex and vampires and like a bar setting and like kind of like, in Lost Boys it's like punk kids, but here it'd be like blues musicians, like counterculture sort of music stuff. Like the blending of all those elements felt very like 80s vampire movie to me. It feels like we have exorcised the demons of Twilight. We're back to basics with vampires. We're back to the fucking good stuff.
Thanks to Nosferatu, we really sort of re-stabilized our myth. And shout out Nosferatu.
Nosferatu went back too far.
Shout out Bill Skarsgård. Last thing.
Final words.
Final words. This movie really put the Irish in its place, and I think that's really important, especially these days. No, I'm kidding. I'm half Irish.
All right, ratings. I am going to give Sinners. You know what? The full experience. Because this movie depends upon the theatrical experience, the full experience of the movie is what I'm rating it on. The movie, the experience of watching it, the way it works with the theater, the way it works with the screen, the fact that Ryan Coogler showed up to my screening. I'm giving this 4.5 stars. I think it's a gem. It's my favorite movie of the year so far.
Whoa! Brett, I love that. That's beautiful. This movie was awesome. This movie checked a lot of boxes. This is a movie I'd consider going to again. I'm going to give this movie 4 stars. This movie was great.
Great. Let's all go see this again if you've really or see it for the first time, because we need to make sure. Like, look, amazing first weekend, but it's gonna really, in terms of the final sort of bottom line success of this thing, it's gonna depend upon having a long tail, having some staying power. I'm gonna go see it again. You should see it for the first time or see it again. Let's make sure this thing is a no question marks, no asterisks, success, so we get more of them. Now, last thing I want to talk about in the first half of the show, Joe. And I'll do it to camera here. This week on Movies Baby, we just hit the 90-day mark of Trump's second term in office, which traditionally is a good time to take stock of the administration and its effect on the country. And specifically, we're going to look at Trump's relationship with Hollywood, which not surprisingly has been defined by money, money, money. And I know there are a lot of headlines to keep track of when Trump is president. It's just like that never-ending car crash in Godard's Weekend. It's hard to know where it starts, where it ends. It's just American carnage as far as the eye can see. But there is one developing story that I don't think is getting enough attention. I want to shed some light on it because it is, like all things in Trump world, just mind-bogglingly crazy and corrupt. So here's what I'm talking about. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, started suing media conglomerates and media companies a couple years ago. And we know Trump, this is always a tactic for him to threaten lawsuits, but he often doesn't follow through. But when it comes to these media companies, he and his lawyers must smell an opportunity. They must smell a little extra blood in the water, because he has made good on these lawsuits against media companies. Starting in 2023, he sued Simon & Schuster, the book publisher, over something having to do with Bob Woodward's Trump tapes book and the way the audio recordings were handled or used. I mean, they're audio recordings, but he said they weren't like used properly or something. So they sued Simon & Schuster. And then they also last year sued the Des Moines Register. The poor little Des Moines Register got sued by Trump because of some opinion poll they published before the election that showed Kamala in the lead. And then Trump won in Iowa. And so they were like, you know, this opinion poll must have been faked or something. And Des Moines' like, no, it's not. But they sued the Des Moines Register. But those two were just a warm up, because now starting end of last year, he started going after major media companies. Last year, Trump sued ABC News, which is owned by Disney, so essentially suing Disney. And he sued CBS News, which is owned by Paramount. And he's not just suing ABC and CBS. He is walking away with massive settlements, upwards of tens of millions of dollars that he's getting paid from major media conglomerates, major Hollywood studios. So let's start with the ABC one. Last December, ABC News settled Trump's lawsuit against them for $15 million. $15 million. And again, this is why I think we should be talking more about this, because Disney wrote Trump a check for $15 million off of this lawsuit. And what was the lawsuit about? Well, it was because George Stephanopoulos said that Trump was found liable for rape in the Jean Carroll case. And Trump said, no, I was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation, giving my $15 million. So because Stephanopoulos said, and look, I'm obviously disgusted by Trump, I'm also like, Stephanopoulos, can you fucking copy? Can you check your fucking copy? Like, you know this guy is litigious. Can you just check your fucking copy? So because Stephanopoulos said rape instead of sexual abuse, and also, can you imagine, like, setting up a lawsuit, the premise of which is that you committed sexual abuse, not rape?
I can't.
Yes, if you're Trump, I guess.
Trump,
yes.
I guess you could.
Yes. So he walked away with $15 million from that. And as a result, Trump said publicly that he now feels he has to sue other news outlets because, as he points it, they are very corrupt and they need to be brought to task. But what is actually going on is that Trump has found a money-making opportunity, baby. Sue the media companies, and then you settle for tens of millions and everyone walks away, because there's two precedents being established here. One, Trump has found a new way to make money. But two, and this is the one I kind of want to dig into, is the less obvious one, is has Hollywood found a new way to launder money? And specifically, has Hollywood found a way to donate money to Trump, to curry favor with Trump through these like fraud sham lawsuits? Because, you know, I mean, $15 million, you know, maybe it's not a lot to Disney at the end of the day. That's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of fucking money, $15 million in a time when, you know, movie companies, movie studios, media conglomerates are looking at every possible way they can squeeze.
All we talk about every week is looking at the box office and going, oh my God, that made 15. That's good. Thank God. 15 million opening weekend.
Exactly.
Exactly. Every weekend.
So that was a good opening weekend that they just handed over to Trump. So I want to look at this CBS lawsuit now, because this is the one that is in process, and this is the one where there are so many conflicts of interest, it boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. So Trump filed a $10 billion lawsuit, which he later upped to $20 billion $20 billion against CBS, and the reason is because he alleges that the network deceptively edited an interview with Kamala Harris to tip the scales in favor of her for the election. CBS aired 2 versions of a Harris interview in which she appears to give different answers to the same question about the Israel-Hamas war, and so they're saying that CBS was deceptively editing an interview with Kamala Harris to help her case. Okay?
That's true.
And then after suing them, he also then posted on Truth Social that CBS should lose their license because of another 60 Minutes segment insane. That was critical of him. Right. And so he is going hard against CBS. Now, CBS is owned by Paramount, right? And Paramount, as you probably know, is in the middle of this never-ending sale from the Redstone family to David Ellison's production company Skydance. And David Ellison is the son of Oracle billionaire Larry Ellison, and the plan is that David will take over this new version of Paramount after the sale merger goes through. Now, one of the sticking points in this sale right now, the reason the sale is not going through, the reason why it's delayed and held up, is because of this Trump lawsuit. Because David Ellison doesn't want to inherit a $20 billion lawsuit from the president of the United States after this sale. CBS wants to just get it off they just want it, or the Redstone family wants to hand it over to him as soon as possible. So the Trump lawsuit is literally the reason this Paramount, one of the main reasons this Paramount sale is being held up. So it's not too hard to connect the dots here and see how this is all going to play out. David Ellison needs Trump's support to approve the sale of the Paramount deal, right? It also needs federal support. David Ellison also wants influence in the Trump White House like any of these other media moguls. He, in his case, an aspiring media mogul. He sees that Bezos and Zuckerberg and the heads of the studios and everybody else has all fallen in line, and they're now all in love with Trump. And so Ellison says, well, I need to be in love with Trump as well. I need to show my support. So we have a guy who needs Trump to okay this deal, this merger, and also wants to curry favor with Trump. And Trump, for his part, just wants as much money as he can get out of all of this. So it sounds like a match made in payoff heaven. And if you don't believe me, if you think I'm being a little conspiratorial about all of this, Carson, can you show this?
Not even close.
Right? So can you, and just to seal the deal, let's see this photo from a recent UFC fight. This was the UFC 314 fight in Miami. So this is like courtside, whatever, ringside, I don't know what they call it, octagon side seats here. Now we have Trump there in the immediate foreground. We've got Elon and his android son sitting on his lap there. The guy who you can't see is Ari Emanuel, who owns the company that owns UFC. You got RFK and Cheryl Hines in the background. They don't get a seat. Ted Cruz doesn't get a seat. But who gets the final seat in the front row? That man at the very end there with the black T-shirt and the jacket, that is David Ellison himself right there. So David Ellison, the guy who is buying the company being sued by Trump for $20 billion and who needs Trump's approval for this deal to go through, is sitting ringside. And not just sitting ringside, there was reports that they were chatting and talking, and he was hanging out with all the MAGA guys afterwards. So
yeah, bro.
Here is my prediction, Joe. And thank you for hanging with me for this long tale of conspiracy and graft and corruption.
Go on.
Here's my prediction. The deadline to approve the Paramount deal just got extended to July 6th. Okay?
Okay.
So May, June, July. So we're basically roughly 3 months away, 90 days away.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's what I think is going to happen in the next 90 days. All right? I think CBS, like ABC, settles this Trump lawsuit for a lot of money. I think they pay Trump a lot of money. And then I think shortly after that, the Paramount deal goes through. And if that's not fucking illegal, I don't know what is. I mean, that is just like old school graft, old school political bribery and cronyism at work. That is like Gilded Age shit. That is insane. But mark my words, it's going to happen in the next 90 days, and it will not get widely reported on because there's 100 other fucking, cause celebs going on that we all have to sort of, pay attention to and so on and so forth. But that's going to happen in the next 90 days, and it's fucking crazy.
This is Trump's MO, man. Tribute. Whether you're a university or a law firm or a Hollywood studio, you got to pay tribute. Now, some of the tech companies got tribute out of the way early.
Yes.
Laura Sanchez and Jeff Bezos went to Mar-a-Lago so that they could personally get pitched by Brett Ratner and Melania Trump, the Melania documentary that Amazon bought for $40 million. $40 million. Netflix, whatever, was going to pay $20. So that's tribute. stuff like that.
They didn't even wait to get sued. They said, you don't have to sue us. We'll just figure out the graft. We'll do a Melania documentary for Melania documentary. What documentary cost $40 million?
The media,
I've never heard of that.
The media cozies up to politicians and administrations, but Brett is right that this is just very brazen and very personal, and it's very clear. Like you do know how to get what you want.
Yep. Well, because there's a report now that a Warner Brothers exec was kind of sniffing around the White House and was asking aides basically like, what does Warner Brothers have to do to like get in on this party? Like, what do we have to do to curry favor? So don't be surprised if we get like a Don Jr. like wilderness survival show on Discovery. Is that happening?
I told you about that on Friday. Yes.
I thought you were joking.
No.
I was stealing your joke brazenly. I didn't even realize it. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
We talk a lot. I don't know.
That's what I heard too. Is that Max is flirting with a hunting documentary series
real?
with Don Jr.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's yes.
So here's what's happening. A formula has been established whereby Trump makes money and Hollywood studios curry favor, and it's just fucking old school political bribery, and it's insane. And it's all going to happen right under our noses, right in plain sight. But there's just too much going on to do anything about it. But that's what's happening. Pay attention, people. Keep an eye on this CBS lawsuit, and keep an eye on the Paramount sale. The two things are connected, and they're gonna be like dominoes falling one after the other. Just watch in the next 90 days. Well,
that was fun. We ended our really upbeat Sinners episode with like a weird sting about graft and politics.
I was transitioning us into Cronenberg.
Yeah. All right, shall we?
Yes. But before that, let's talk about what's next week on the show. Next week, we're going to be talking about the aforementioned Accountant 2.
Yeah.
Which, despite the lukewarm response in Joe's Theater, I'm very excited for Accountant 2.
Not lukewarm response in my heart.
Affleck and Bernthal, baby. I think, look, it's not marketed for the Sinners Day One audience in Burbank or City Walk, but I think it has a very strong marketing plan. I think this is going to be a surprise hit. I think it's going to do very well. I thought the trailer was very smart in the way it combined just like high adrenaline action with some comedy. Joe keeps making fun of me because I think the Accountant 2 trailer is like a masterpiece of movie marketing.
The Accountant 2 trailer.
I tell you what, it is just, I could see the strategy. Look, at this point in the movies, I am just celebrating success at all costs so this industry stays alive.
Hey.
So I think The Accountant 2 did a very good job marketing. I think it's going to be a hit with a sector of our society. I think it'll be a surprise hit. For who the fuck, what studio is that? Sony or Paramount? Or let's find out.
Let's do it live on air, too.
Live on air. Amazon MGM. Okay, good. So great.
Well, that makes sense. Amazon, these kinds of movies do great on Amazon.
Yeah.
Right? That's like their whole entire streaming strategy is around men with gun stuff, and this is going to play gangbusters on
And we're
Amazon
also going to look at the other wide release. We were talking about doing this or not, but this is the other big wide release next week. Yeah, this is going to be
Dawn.
Yes,
Can
Until
You Stay
Dawn.
Alive?
Horror movie from the director of Lights Out, Lights Out and Annabelle Creation. I like both of those movies.
I do as well.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. Until Dawn and The Accountant 2 next week. The movies are back, baby. The movies are back. We also have, for our Patreon subscribers, Weekend at Bergman's, our other show is coming back in May, so stay tuned for that. We'll continue our 80s season. And right now, only on Patreon, we are going to be talking about Cronenberg's new movie, The Shrouds, and we're also going to be ranking our top 5 Cronenbergs. We have to come up with one list between us. It's going to be a bloodbath. And check that out over on Patreon at patreon.com/moviesbaby with 5 Ys. 5 Ys. And we'll see you there in 5 minutes. Bye.